Boom. All right, we are recording, so let's rock and roll.
All right.
There we go. Hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I am your host, John Harris. Today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Kataklysm, and they've got a new album called Unconquered, which at the time of recording is being released today. I've got Jean-Francois with us, and he is super excited about this release via Nuclear Blast. And what's really cool as well is that Jean-Francois did the recording and the engineering, so we can get pretty deep in chatting about what went into crafting this incredible record. I've heard it. If you haven't heard it out there in podcast land, definitely take some time to give it a listen. Jean-Francois, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. That was a great introduction, by the way.
Oh, boy,
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You told me that you're in a good mood. I didn't want to ruin it. I was like, oh my, all the pressure.
That's awesome. I was like, man, I wish I could speak clearly like that and to the point.
Give it
Nice
the kill
solution.
shot, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what an incredible day. It's always fun on release day to be chatting with bands. And something you mentioned was how excited you are for the release of the record. And so I'm just going to start with probably the most basic question ever. Why are you so excited for the release of the record?
Well, this is album number 14 for us. We've been a band for almost 30 years. And so we've done this before, but this album is special to us, to me personally, because it is just, I don't know, it's one of those albums that the inspiration was here, and we just really pour our heart out on the table and concocted some great music, and everything came together from the guys playing to Mauricio's vocal delivery, lyrics, and the engineering, producing, all that you mentioned before. It's like everything came together, and I'm really loving the results. And this album has been recorded and finished. We finished it in December last year, so it's been quite some time already, and we're so happy that it's getting released right now. The record label were kind of telling us, you guys should wait till next year because of the whole pandemic thing. Like, basically told us, don't waste the record this year. It's so great. You should wait a little bit. But we fought back in the sense that we thought the best time to release it is now, just because we don't want to sit on it that long. And we believe that it won't matter, pandemic or not, our fans will be here for us, and they're going to support the band and they'll buy it and share it and all that. And we're very fully confident in that fact. So here we are, albums dropping, and we're happy it's getting released.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many things. You mentioned putting your heart on the table. Well, the demon on the record, he is taking his heart out, and he's about to put it down on the table.
Yeah. I mean, the imagery, it's awesome. It just really represents the music and everything, and the album titled Unconquered. It has a lot of meaning for us, just for the band's history and the fact that we're still here doing this and having our own little career as musicians, and we're very grateful, and at the same time proud of being here still today doing this and releasing this killer record.
Yeah, you bring up a really interesting point, because I think for a lot of fans, they just kind of take the fact that a band has been around for 30 years for granted, like it's supposed to just happen. And like there's no egregious, serious amount of work that goes into maintaining, a brand for 30 years. And I said brand intentionally.
Yeah.
Take us through that. What is that like, being in Kataklysm for 30 years, and that moment of gratitude that you just expressed?
Yeah, it's great in a sense that it's, when I look back at all the years, like I see us starting in high school. We all met in detention room because that's what we did back then in high school, and we started playing this band and got together and first started, and you look back at that time, and there's moments in that 30 years where you start doing this, you get a record deal, you're so happy, and then there's some big people in the industry coming and telling us like, hey, enjoy this, guys, because you got about 5 years after that your career is going to be over, because the music field or music business goes so fast, and bands don't last that long. And so we've been told that we've so many times doors have been shut in our faces for many different reasons, for tours, for opportunities, for things. And you just, it's life as a band is a lot of fun. It's a lot of good moments, but there's, like you said, a lot of hard work involved that like people that are not playing music don't even know about what it's like. And it's also almost to the point where sometimes you ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, am I stupid? am I retarded? Like, just sometimes being us four guys stuck on a bus for months and months out of the years. Like, there's some great times, and then there's a lot of fun. But some other times, like you're like, you wake up in the morning and you look at the other person you're sharing your life with, and you're like, man, I hate the way you tie your shoes.
That's so specific.
Yes, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of there's so many things involved, and I don't know how to put it in a nutshell in 5 minutes, in a quick answer. But yes, like when you go through all that, you can't help but feeling grateful, proud, and it's an achievement for sure. And it's an achievement that doesn't reward you with trophies and things like that. But just being here today at a certain age, still playing extreme metal as a career, I think it's a wonderful thing that we still can get together and still do this. I think it's a good thing, and I see it as some of the other bands that I listen to and I admire that are either in our same age bracket or older and are still like persistent about doing this. Like it makes me like admire them even more, because I know all that goes in the background to make sure that this happens. So it's really about passion, fire at this point, and loving what you do, because there's no other reason why you would want to do this for that long.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is I chat with bands across the spectrum, from ones, they're releasing their first EP all the way up to, guys like yourselves who've been at it for 25, 30 years. And there's a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say enjoyment or wonder even, where I'm interviewing, a band such as yourself, and it's like, wow, people are still listening to us. And there's just like this, I don't know.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, well, you keep coming out with great music, so why wouldn't I listen to you? But it's an interesting sense of fun that comes to it at I guess a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it right there. I think, like, we always have these conversations now about like how long we can keep doing this, and how much further we can push this. And I think our answer that we concluded with was, well, as long as this is still fun, we're going to keep doing it. And the day it's not fun anymore and we want to do other stuff, then that's when we'll quit and hang up the skates on the wall, so to speak. And that's how we see things.
Mm-hmm. Now, something else you had mentioned, Jean-François, was that the recording and production and mixing all came together really well. And my note here is that you did the recording and engineering in your studio, and then brought in Colin to do the mixing, quote unquote, for a modern sound.
Yes.
So take us through the process. How did we get from where we were with, say, the demo tracking pre-production stage to where we're sitting here right now, listening to it on Spotify, and my jaw hits the desk?
Yes. Well, the first thing we do is actually arrange the songs and piece them together. Writing, like I'm talking first the music, and then you come in with the lyrics. and sometimes you have to rearrange things when the lyrics are there because they don't quite fit with the way we had envisioned the music. So it's kind of like a few months process right there to get all that done, and then once you're happy with that, we actually have to learn how to play the songs, because when you do the demo, you kind of you do it spontaneously, and you add things and new different parts and riffs and melodies, but you don't really quite figure out how to play them. You just kind of write them on the spot. But then after that, you have to learn the songs, like the drummer, myself as a guitar player, the bass player, and the singer with the lyrics and all that. So there's a period of time for that, and then you go in the studio and do and nail the tracks. Like, you have to take everything you did in the pre-production stage, but bring it to the next level by performing it to the highest standards and putting everything you got in it. So then it's the recording part, and that's also probably a month and a half to achieve all that. And from there, then we sent it to Colin in the UK, and then they opened the file of everything we did, and they try to make sense of it and push it to the finish line. And mixing is kind of like balancing plates, in the sense of you have to take every instrument and placing them in a way in the audio spectrum that sounds great, and that also you can hear every instrument properly, and have the right amount of punch and power and brightness without overdoing it. So it's very touchy. It's for sure it's an art, and Colin did very, very great at it. He's a veteran in that field. He's a legendary producer, and did a great job, especially with the low end, because we have those super 7-string down-tuned guitars on this record, and it's so low, but you can still hear every note, and it's very powerful and modern. So we're very very happy with the results.
Yeah, you guys are tuned down to like Z sharp or something.
Yeah, it's just super low. It's F sharp, and
what?
My strings are like 0.75s. It's like my big string. It's almost a bass string. It's so retardedly low, but it's the sound that comes out of that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And then speaking of more amazingness and more brutalness, it looks like the single that was just released today, "Cut Me Down," features Tuomas Salkkonen of Wolfheart and a few other bands, a powerhouse in and of himself. How did that happen?
Well, I think Wolfheart is good friends with Maurizio, and I think they work together with his management company, because he goes around and he helps bands in the industry, like developing and doing and do like career moves and all that. And he's a very good friend of Tuomas, and we were thinking about, hey, it would be cool to have a guest on this new album, because we haven't had one in a few records. We used to do that earlier in our career, and he said, "What about Tuomas? Because he's got great vocals, and I get along with him." I guess they connect also on the lyrical, artistic vision and all that. So he said yes, and we sent him the song. He recorded his vocals, sent it back, and we thought it was a great addition to the track. He has a special, distinct voice, and you can hear it in the way he sang the chorus. It makes you really feel the words,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Now, transitioning over into what this year had entailed, something that came across my desk is that you yourself actually had coronavirus. So number one, congratulations on fighting it and remaining unconquered.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Next thing is, take us through it. What was it like? What happened?
Well, I woke up the first day that I got it, and I wasn't. I woke up and it was really hard out of nowhere to get out of bed, and I was having these intense muscle pains, tiredness, and the best way I could describe it is what, we tour a lot in the world, and sometimes you play shows in high altitude cities, like when we were in La Paz in Bolivia. It's like 10,000 feet up in the air, and it gets really hard to breathe in those cities because you're so high up in the mountains. And I felt I related to that morning. I woke up and it's like, okay, it's kind of heavy to breathe. I can't move. Everything's weird, but it made no sense to me because I barely leave the house. I'm a super careful, paranoid freak type guy. I always wash my hands. I wore my mask every time. And the only place I've been within that week was the grocery shop to get a few things. And so I probably got it from there, from either touching something or somebody walked by that was highly contagious, and I got it. And so like a couple of days after that, I went to the doctor because it wasn't going away. I wasn't feeling better. I said, like, give me the test. I didn't think that's what it was. I couldn't believe that I got it from going to the store like that. But the result came back positive, and he just told me, like, go home, relax, don't, like, quarantine yourself basically, and try to avoid any contacts with my family if I can, or stay like the 3 meters away and all that. And luckily it never got beyond that. It just stayed what it was, and I never had to go to the hospital. So I was lucky in that sense, because a lot of people need to go on a respirator, and some people even died. Like, there's a guy on my street 4 houses down from me that died from COVID. So yeah, it's scary. It plays a role also on your like, psychologically. It wears you down, because just knowing that you have it, it's an extra layer of stress. And when you have it, you feel like it never goes away, because you wake up. Some days it feels a little better, and you're like, okay, I'm on the right path. And then a few days later, it's all over again bad. So it's very long and strenuous and hard to beat. It's definitely not like a normal flu. For me, it was much heavier than that. So that was pretty much my experience of it, and I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemies, that's for sure.
Wow. Now, you said it took a long time to beat. I've read some articles about lingering symptoms. Would you say that you're over it and past it, or are there still some lingering symptoms or other things?
I think I'm over it. I think it was, for me, it was a straight up 3 weeks of what I just described. And then by the end of those 3 weeks, started feeling slowly better and better every day, to the point where it was gone. And now I tested okay, it's gone, and I feel normal. I'm completely normal. The only thing I'd say is, like, I'm a little bit tired from not moving for 3 weeks, because you can't do much. You just sit there and watch TV and relax pretty much all of the time. So it's kind of like the inactivity. It makes me feel like I'm tired and or out of shape a bit, but I don't feel any of the symptoms anymore, and I don't think anything was going to linger with me.
Okay, well, thank you for remaining unconquered, as I'd mentioned before there, Jean-François.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'm happy it's gone. I'm so happy it's gone.
Yeah.
I can move on and keep going with my life.
Yeah, happy days. Now, one of the other questions I was going to ask is, you guys had mentioned, or you had mentioned that the album was finished in December 2019, obviously starting in 2020 with a lot of excitement. What kind of things have you guys been doing to keep the fans engaged on what otherwise probably would have been a spring release of the album?
Well, at first, when the pandemic hit for real, and then things started to get postponed, I think it's like the whole music world kind of stopped, or the whole world at any level kind of stopped for a few months. So not much has happened. And now what we're doing is trying to use more our socials, and we started this little show on YouTube where we do an episode or 2 episodes a month, and it's nothing pro, but we do all the editing ourselves, and it's just a little extra to engage our fans, and because it's mostly all we got is the socials and stuff. And for us, it would be very hard to actually plan a show, for example, doing like a stream show, just because it's hard for us to actually get in the same place, because right now there's some restrictions in place still between the US and Canada for traveling. So we have to wait till all that's lifted so we can actually get together and maybe plan a live stream. If not, then the plans for us moving forward would be to wait till next summer when we have all these summer open airs everywhere planned, and hopefully, knocking on wood, those happens. And if they don't, then we'll wait till the time comes, and we'll plan a proper tour and go everywhere again and play our asses off. Hopefully sooner than later, but otherwise it's just going to be video clips and social media posts, and that's pretty much the contact we have with our fans right now.
Okay, perfect. Well, Jean-Francois, that concludes my questions. I believe we've covered just about everything. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that maybe I didn't ask about?
Well, no, just a big thank you for to our fans in general that have been incredible and supported us even through these tough times. Like, album is selling, we're doing well. Like, people are ordering so much online shirts because they know it helps the bands and things like that. Like a big thank you, because everyone's being wonderful, and we're so looking forward to being in your neck of the woods as well in the UK. Last show we played there was like in December, I think we played London, but we want to come back and do a proper UK tour at some point, and that would rock as well. We love playing there.
All right, very cool. Well, then, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Thank you for having me. This was great.